Hello, everybody. This is Monica Wingate, the CEO and co-founder of Digsite. I am here today with Amy Elkes, our Director of Research Consulting, to talk to you guys about our new Smart Dashboard. We're really excited about this new functionality. It has been in the works now for almost 9 months, and it is pretty exciting to see. It's been one of the most requested features is to be able to download to PowerPoint and to have more interactive functionality and reporting. And so we're really excited to share this with you today. One thing, a couple just things to note as you go through this with Amy. We have launched this to all of you as customers with the phrase next to the report of beta. And really what we mean by that is that while this is built and working, we have thousands upon thousands of communities within Digsite, and everyone is just a hair different. And so it's possible that you might see something a view that's not quite correct or not looking quite right over the next week or two as we kind of roll this out. So we wanted to make that clear to you guys and encourage you to report to us anything that you see that might be unusual or not exactly what you expect. All your existing functionality is still in Digsite the way that you would have it, but we really appreciate that. And anybody who reports a bug that we're able to validate will be getting a little reward from us. So just to encourage each of you to report anything that you find. We expect to have any kind of last little bugs worked out and this released in the coming weeks, but wanted to give all of you again an opportunity to see it now and help us in this final phase of both getting access to and using Smart Dashboard, as well as playing around with it for your own specific communities and use cases, and letting us know how that works for you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy, who is going to walk you through this exciting new features and functionality.
Hi everybody, I'm Amy. I'm actually going to take away my video in a minute just because it seems to help with connectivity and showing the screen, but I did just want to say hello, and before I hide myself, show everybody my face. And what I'm going to do is walk you through the Smart Dashboard today. You may have some additional questions. Please hold them until the end if possible, and I can answer them to the best of my ability. If there's something I don't know the answer to, we will follow up with you subsequently, but hopefully this will all be somewhat self-explanatory. So I'm just going to hide myself so it's a little easier for you to see my screen without it getting fuzzy or jumpy. I just want to start by showing you where you'll find the new Smart Dashboard. This is just a community that we have of research that we've done at Digsite as a starting point. And I just want to show you, you'll go right here into Document and Report, and you'll see now that Smart Dashboard Beta is right there under my pin. So that's where you would find it. I'm actually going to switch to a different community that I want to show you because it just has more variety of task types, but I did want to show you where you'll find your Smart Dashboard, and it's pretty straightforward. So now I'm just going to switch to this other community where I've already loaded my Smart Dashboard. And this is a different community. As you can see, it's called Pet Lovers Community. Again, this was some internal research that we did at Digsite. This is not belonging to any of our clients, so it's a good one to show you. It also has a lot of different task types that I'm going to share with you. In this case, this loaded right away with some demographics at the top because we actually uploaded specific demographic information into the platform. That's something you can do as well. That's a part of a different discussion. But if you wanted to have this information, you certainly could, and our customer success team could help you figure out how to upload it. To start in beta, we're just going to be showing the demographics of gender and age. So at this point, these would be the only demographics you'd see in this Smart Dashboard. We have plans to add more demographic fields going forward, but to start, this is what you would see. Oops, I'm sorry. So that's at the top of my screen, and that's just basic background information on my respondents. And then you can see as we move through here, we're going to see results for all of the activities in the order that they were shown to respondents. And typically the instructions are truncated, but you can click on the Show More if you wanted to see all of the instructions as they were presented to respondents. And you could click on Show Less if you don't want to see all of it. For open-ended questions and tasks like open-ended survey questions, conversation tasks, whiteboards, what you're going to have happen automatically is keyword analysis and sentiment analysis, where you can see percent of responses that are positive, negative, or neutral. In this case, we just asked people to tell us about themselves. So all of the sentiment was positive or neutral. And then we have here the keywords that are automatically being tabulated in people's results. And you can see we have the number of respondents who mentioned that keyword next to the word itself. And we can also click on a keyword to see the responses that mention it. So in this case, I clicked on husband, and you can see now I'm opening up, and Adrian T says, I live with my husband. Amy M presumably goes on to say something about her husband, and so forth. So all open-ended responses are automatically going to show you those keywords and the sentiment analyses. Now, this is the Smart Dashboard defaults to showing pinned responses. And for those of you who are a little bit less familiar, pinning responses is where you might go through, you or whoever is moderating your community might go through and click a little pin icon next to any of the open-ended responses that are, for whatever reason, noteworthy and that you want to capture. In this case, we didn't happen to pin any responses for this question. So what I'm going to do, so I'm seeing nothing. So what I'm going to do is go up here to my filter icon, and I'm going to go to responses, and I'm going to actually ask it to show me all quotes, not just the pinned ones, and I'm going to click done. And in a moment, hopefully, if my connection works with us, you're going to see how that will change the results. Okay, so now it's reloaded, and now you can see that, I'm sorry, the scrolling is a little quick. Now you can see how I'm showing all of the responses to that tell us about yourself task. So we're seeing people's quotes, we're seeing their pictures. In this case, we ask them to upload pictures of their pets. So that's what we're seeing. And because we did upload demographics, if I mouse over, I'm going to see that Molly Z is a female, age 25 to 34 years old. So this is how you're going to see responses to open ends, and you can, again, either use that default for pinned quotes, or you can show all quotes. Because each quote takes up quite a bit of space, you can see that this is set up as a menu so that I can keep scrolling through to look at the rest of them, but they're not all displayed here, otherwise it would take up so much of your dashboard. So let's see, let's look at another task type so you can see what the reporting looks like. This is a survey task where we asked people about their how many pets they currently own, and the default for survey tasks is that you're going to see these bar charts that include both the percent responses and the number of respondents. In this case, I just want to point out that some of these activities were not given clever names, so it's just called, activity 1, or the survey is called survey. If you had given the survey a name like tell us about your pets, that would show up here. In this case, it's just showing up as survey because we didn't have specific or unique names. And once again, this is a survey where the first question was a closed-end question, and so we can see the results in closed-end fashion. The second question was an open-end, and so again, we have our text analysis and our keywords. I do want to show you as well what it looks like to get, here's some additional survey questions. I want to show you what it looks like to get responses to a fill-in-the-blank. So here's the fill-in-the-blank task that we presented to respondents, and we asked them about spending time away from their pets and how they monitor them when they're away and so forth. And in this case, the fill-in-the-blank responses are shown with the entire fill-in-the-blank, but the word that was either selected from a drop-down menu or put in by the respondent is highlighted in bold. And if I click show more, these quotes tend to be a little bit longer because it's the full fill in the blank. If I show more, I can see the entire thing, and all the spots that they have filled in will have these bold, the bold text. And again, if I want to show less, I can certainly do that. And again, if as we move through, we can open or close to see more of the detail, and we can move through pages if we want to see every single response that's here. And then the last thing I want to show you before, or a couple more things actually I want to show you before I also show you all the ways that you can customize this view, is response to a whiteboard activity. A whiteboard task in Digsite is basically a heat map where we show people a visual, a concept, a chunk of text, whatever it is, and we ask people to respond to it by dragging and dropping red, green, and gray dots that can be connected to anything. In this case, it was likes, dislikes, and questions. Those could also be brands. They could also be attributes. So those red, green, and gray dots are up to you to program as to have any meaning you'd like. In this case, we had a concept we shared with people. We asked them to tell us what they liked, disliked, and had questions about. That's what the dots here correspond to. And we also created sections here, which are these boxes that are around the different parts of the whiteboard. So we could see results by section. We could see people's reactions to the name, to the description, and to the image. And so here is just kind of a shot of all responses that we got to all the sections. We also have a star rating, which you can show or hide depending on the nature of your stimuli. And that, in this case, I believe corresponded to how likely someone would be to purchase this. And so here we see the average star rating as well as how many people gave which star ratings to give us that average. Again, we have our sentiment analysis. And down here, you can see we now have sentiment by section. So that features description, the name of the product, and then the product image. We can now see how many likes, dislikes, and questions we got for each section in the whiteboard. And we can also go down here and look in detail and see what were the actual comments for the product section, for the features section, and for the name section. Now, the last thing I want to show you before I give you a sense of all the ways that you can customize this and make it really, really a quick way to capture and present results is response to a voting task, which I may have missed. So what I'll show you in any case is I'll go up here and I'll go to this Go to Section menu. And if I click on it, it's going to show me all of the elements of my study. I know that we have in here a voting task, so I'm just going to click on voting. And it's going to take me right to it. Couldn't remember where it was exactly. And this now shows us the percent of respondents who voted thumbs up or thumbs down for any of these, in this case, product attributes. It defaults, as you can see at the bottom, to showing the top 5 and bottom 5 results of the study, but you can also change that and ask it to show all results instead of just top and bottom 5. So that's a quick glimpse of sort of the general overview of how everything looks, and you do now have a sense that you can go, you can look things up by section and go to that specific section instead of having to scroll through everything if you want. You have a sense of how you can filter to see all responses or pinned responses. There are other ways that you can filter that I'll show you in a moment, but first I just want to show you some of the customization options that we have. So if I click on this sprocket in the top right here that says Settings, and I click on it and I click on Customize, we've now gone into like a customization mode where there are just about almost anything you see here now has, there are options to customize what you're seeing. So for example, in this case, now that I'm in a customization mode, if I wanted to hide a task, I could click on it and hide a task. Maybe I want to create a condensed report where I'm not showing all of the tasks. I would have that option. If I wanted to, in this case, with the keywords, if I wanted to customize some of these keywords, I could click on Option, and I can go in here. And for example, maybe I feel like the word married is not really relevant to my study. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to go into my hidden words. So now I've decided I'm going to take married out of this because some of these words are just less relevant, and I can click on as many as I want to hide. I also have the option to combine words. So if I click on combine words and I maybe want to combine kid and daughter, I can do that. And I would click on the two and then merge them. And now they're going to be merged as kid and daughter with an updated count showing kid and daughter, adding up the two. One other thing I wanted to show you here as well is that we can also create a new word. Let's say I wanted to create a new word. I wanted to make my own meta combination, and I wanted my new word to be anything having to do with husband, wife, partner, etc. I could say, okay, I see 12 for husband, I see 7 for wife, and maybe we would find a partner in here. I don't see it, but let's imagine we did, and I'm going to add those up. I'm going to say the count is 21. I'm going to create that new word, and then I do have the option to delete it. Here you can see the garbage can right next to it if I decided, hey, I changed my mind, I don't want to do that. And then maybe I might hide husband, and I might hide wife if I could find it again. And now I would just have my new word that represents anything related to partners. It's the combination of husband and wife and partner. And so you do have a lot of flexibility there. I could click save, and this will save this into my report. It won't save it into my Digsite platform. The platform is still going to show that original word cloud analysis. That won't change, but any changes I make here will save into this report, which I can then download. Other customization options we have are within quotes now. When we're in this customize mode, we can go in and maybe we don't want someone to say their first name. So maybe I would just want to go in and delete this and just show how this respondent is 32 years old and married with 2 kids, for example. So I would have that flexibility to change that. I also have, again, in any of these now, when I'm in this customize mode, I have the flexibility to go in and make edits to any of those. In addition, I can make edits to titles. So at this point I say, oh, I forgot to name this survey something, but here in my report, I want to make sure I name this survey and I call it pet facts. And so I could do that. I could make those edits. I can make edits to almost any field now. It's as if I'm in a PowerPoint or in a Word document, and I can really edit all these fields the way you would in any kind of platform like that that's really sort of user-friendly and highly interactive. And I can do that with any of these. Again, you're going to see when you're in this editing mode, anything I click on now, I have a lot of flexibility to edit and tweak. If I want to shorten a quotation, for example, and focus in on a piece of it, I have a lot of flexibility to make edits. This kind of crisscross icon would also allow me to move a task if I wanted to move something up or down. So for some reason, I felt like I wanted to show results to question 2 before question 1 maybe, or I wanted to show one task before another. I could do that, and I have the flexibility to move everything around. So it really is very user-friendly, and it really allows you to interact and tweak things right in the platform instead of having to kind of move back and forth maybe between multiple documents. So we're really hopeful that this is going to make it very easy for people to quickly go through and download results in a very digestible way for their teams and their clients. Now I would like to show you a little bit more of the filtering options that we have. So before you saw me go into our filters, and you saw that I had filtered based on responses, and we chose to show all quotes instead of just open ends. We can also filter by segments. So in this case, if you've actually uploaded specific segments or tagged respondents with specific segments, you'd have the option to filter by those. Demographics, again, in this case, we're really showing age and gender, but you could filter by those. If you did your screener within Digsite and there are specific screener responses from the Digsite platform that you wanted to highlight, you could filter by those. We can also filter by people who have answered all or specific activities. So if you want to filter by completes, for example, you might click select, deselect, and you'd get everybody and make sure you filtered out anybody who maybe didn't finish the last couple of tasks. Or if you just wanted to look at people who responded to this particular first task, you could click on that as well. So you can filter by activity response. And then you can also filter by particular participant. So I can click here on my participants bar, and I could pick any particular participant that I want to see all the results for. So in this case, I'm going to click on Annie W, and then I'm going to make sure that I have, in this case, all quotes. If you happen to know you've pinned a bunch of Annie's quotes, you could just do pinned quotes, but I'm not sure what's been pinned from Annie, so I'm going to make sure that I have my all quotes selected, and I'm going to click done. And now what we're going to see is a report just for Annie. So you can see she's female and she is 35 to 44. That's the first thing that comes up, and that gives us a little picture of Annie. And then, I'm sorry, my scrolling is a little quick. I hope I'm not giving anybody a headache. Now we see Annie's pictures and her description of who she is and what she likes to do. And we can see Annie's specific quotes and responses to any particular activity. So there are lots of ways to filter the reports and to customize them if you want to look at particular respondents, particular groups of respondents, people who, like I said, have completed all of the tasks or certain particular tasks. So lots of ways to to make particular reports and save them. And then when you've created a report, let's say I feel like, okay, I really want to focus in on Annie for whatever reason, and I want to download this report, I am going to go back to my Sprocket wheel, and I'm going to click on download. And this is Pet Lovers Community. I might want to give this particular report name Pet Lovers Community Annie, so I know what this one is and what the specific elements of this report are. And then I can click on download, and it is going to start to download to PowerPoint. This can take a few minutes, and so while we're waiting for this to download and to spare you the pain of watching a pot boil, I'm going to just open up the report that I already did download from this community so you can see what it looks like. And so it downloads directly into PowerPoint, and it's going to look very, very similar to what you just saw on your screen, but it's going to be in PowerPoint. So it's going to start by showing you all of the activities. It's going to start by giving you those demos we began with, and then going right into all of those same specific analyses and summaries and text analysis and so forth that we were just looking at. Now, in this case, you may remember that we selected all quotes, so it's a pretty long report. And in this one, this is not Molly's report that I have here. This is a report of all respondents. It's not a perfect comparison to what we're downloading at the moment, but you can see it's a very long report. It's 169 pages because I have every single quote in here. Most likely, you would not end up downloading every single quote to every single question, but you certainly have the option to do so. And now, of course, once it's in this format, you can change things as you would in a PowerPoint. You know, everything here is editable just as it would be in a regular old PowerPoint. So you have tons of flexibility to now go in and make a note. Maybe you feel like Mark is somebody who you wanted to remember for some reason, so you're going to highlight his name in red, or you want to make a note that like Tim is somebody you want to follow up with. So you have all the flexibility here that you would in a PowerPoint to make notes, make edits, and very quickly again, share results with your team internally or externally. So that is pretty much everything I think I wanted to make sure I shared. I'm sure I moved a little bit quickly for some people, and I'm sure there might be some things that there's possible that there's something I forgot. So before I open it up to questions, I just want to see if Audrey or Monica has anything else that they wanted me to touch on or highlight, and then we can open it up to questions if you have any.
Only thing I wanted to just mention is that the charts in the PowerPoint are also editable in addition to the text, which can be really, really helpful for you as well. So you can go into your normal editing mode for charts and change out the titles or add titles, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think you covered it all really, really well, Amy. Thank you. Great job.
Sure. I am really excited about this. I think, as Monica mentioned, this is in beta, and so there for certain will be things that we're going to tweak and improve upon over time. But I do think this, for those of you who've used Digsite a lot, is pretty game changing in terms of just the speed and agility with which you can quickly grab results and have them in a very digestible, visible format and make your notes in real time, instead of maybe having to go back and forth between multiple documents or between the platform itself and a report document. So personally, as someone who uses the platform a lot, I'm really excited about this, but I also imagine there might be some questions. So Audrey, maybe we can open it up to see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, if you have any now, you can feel free to use the Q&A section in Zoom to submit your questions. We can answer them now. Otherwise, we'll be sending this out afterwards. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can feel free to reach out.
Monica, is this available to everybody starting tomorrow? Is that?
Oh, yes. So
okay.
We will be making this button active for you starting tomorrow morning. And like I said, please reach out to your customer success team if you have questions or if there's anything that you notice that either you want for functionality that's not there, or something that you think isn't working exactly as you would have liked. Just let us know. And that way we can keep making improvements to this. We're really, this is quite, as you can guess, a quite robust set of functionality. The other thing you can do with your PowerPoints is you can download specific activities or tasks. So if you do go to download your report and you say, gosh, this is taking a long time, maybe I just want to download it in a couple chunks, you can always download it in a couple chunks. I think we're in the process right now of optimizing the PowerPoint download time, so I suspect that most of those will be 2 minutes or less, but we're working on that as we speak, just to make it easy and fast for you to get those reports downloaded. And Yeah, and then the other thing to note is that you can look at this in multiple tabs. So if you want to open the report in a couple of tabs and go back and forth to compare results to one another, you can do that, and your go to section will kind of remember. So it'll take you to that section. You can kind of just again compare side by side, maybe two segments or two subgroups pretty easily with just having the report view open that way in this report as well. We'll be building out more capabilities in the coming weeks and months. So keep your ears out for Audrey's emails to let you know what we've added for functionality as we go through the rest of this year.
Yeah, and we really encourage you to get in there and play around with it once it's available tomorrow and beyond. And that's definitely the best way for you to get comfortable with it, and also to let us know what things you have questions about or would like to see tweaks to. And I think we have one question that came in. Is that right, Audrey?
Yep, we do. Someone asked if things are hidden on the dashboard, do they appear in the report once you export it?
My understanding is no. If you hide it, specifically go in and actively hide it, it will not show in the report. So if you're actively hiding it, it will not show. Is that correct, Monica?
That is correct. Yep.
So, and you can save multiple reports and download multiple reports and save multiple reports so that you have one where maybe you've shown more, or one where you've highlighted this segment, or one where you've highlighted Annie, and you can have those saved and be able to go back to them and look at those different views.
Yeah. So when you come in, you'll see the reports default view, but you can drop down and see other reports that you've saved in the past. It'll bring those up, and you'll have that data available. Also, when you come in for the first time, it'll pull some the latest data for you. But after that, you'll need to use that refresh button to update the data. And this just prevents you from having to worry about it refreshing the data every time you come in. If you do make changes to things like pins, like you go in and you pin additional responses, or you make some changes in your settings, you're going to want to hit that refresh icon just to clean everything up. That should happen in less than a minute that the refresh occurs. But we wanted to give you the flexibility to not have the page do that every time you load the page. And you can kind of just choose to do that whenever you need it.
So now you can see I just refreshed and I went back to that original default of showing everybody, showing pinned responses. But had I saved my other report with Annie, that report would be here in my report view, and I could go back and find that report view on Annie.